Hi, Dave Madsen, and we are back at the Mecca. It's a beautiful December day, and I have my good friend Jimmy Madsen for Muscle Beach TV. And last time we shot was last year before the USA, and I'm really glad to have him back. It was in San Diego, and now we're in the Mecca. Jimmy, welcome back to Muscle Beach TV, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks, Dave, for having me. Thank you, Digital Muscle, for having me. And, man, I'm really happy to be here.
Almost the end of the year, Jimmy, and it's been quite a year. I really wanted to have you back on the show because a lot has been happening for you. I know that last year you did the USA after a strong first runner-up the year before. You had high hope to get your pro card. You were in line for the new one. But what happens is that you actually jump one class higher. So now we're not a light heavy anymore. You went to against the heavyweight, and of course you didn't get the placing you were hoping for. So talk to me a little bit about the last USA and how it affected you or all that.
Yeah, so 2016, I hooked up with Matt Jansen, and we kind of went into that show. That's when I was still a light heavyweight. We went into that show not really knowing what to expect, at least me personally, because the year before I was 15th. So I basically just wanted top 10, top 7 to kind of finish somewhere in there. And I ended up in second place, which was, at the time, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And then like as the days passed after the show, I'm like, man, like I was 1 point away.
So close.
So it was bittersweet, but for me it was such a big jump that I mean I couldn't be upset about it. And then so me and Matt, after the show we talked, and he basically told me backstage at the USA's that I was going to be a heavyweight the next year. And I looked at Matt and I'm like, dude, you're crazy. Like I just took second at the USA as a light heavy. I would be stupid to move up to a different weight class. And he's like, no, trust me. And so I followed his directions. We had a great off season, and I ended up moving up to heavyweights. I weighed in at 216, which was like a big jump from where I was, and ended up placing 6th.
You did good, still.
Yeah, I mean it's not really what I expected.
Yeah.
I expected to, of course, now I have my confidence and I know I can stand toe to toe with those guys. For me, it was still a loss, but not horrible.
Yeah.
Not very many guys can move up from a weight division and place really well, especially at a national level show.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it for now, but next year I'm not okay with it. Next year that ain't happening again.
Well, if you put on what must have been something like 18 pounds
Yeah.
in 1 year, to get another 8 to 10 shouldn't be too hard this year.
That's what we're hoping for.
I hit top of the class.
Yeah, I actually hit the stage at about 212 after dropping water and everything.
Yeah.
So if I can put on another 10, 13 pounds of
right
stage
there.
weight, and I mean with my shape and the conditioning that we keep we keep improving on conditioning every year. So I think if I'm around the top of the class, honestly, I really don't think anybody else can beat me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're taking it this way. It's the right way to take it. And then, of course, we're going to be looking for you at the USA. I'm hoping we shoot a few times before that as well, some footage. But I want to talk a little bit about your journey. It's always interesting to me how people get started. And lately you've been actually sending me some really cool pictures of when you first arrived in Venice, when we first met, when you came to the store and bought a tank top from me, and actually told me one day, and I forgot about this, you said one day you'll do an interview with me saying, oh, you must probably thought I was crazy. And here we are. This is not the first time you would do, but I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And talk to me about when you first got started and your journey into this this crazy world in bodybuilding.
So I hate to say it because I'm going to age myself a little bit, but I have actually been competing for about 15, 16 years. I started training seriously when I was like 16. Got my first gym membership. My mom bought me a membership for Christmas, and within 3 months, I put on like 15 pounds of muscle, and my dad basically forced me to sign up for a bodybuilding show. I did not think I was ready. I never been to a bodybuilding show at that point. So he told me, let's do it. So I decided to do it, and I didn't know how to pose, didn't know how to do anything. He sent me Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, and that's how I learned how to hit my poses. That's how I learned how to do the diets, all that. That was basically my Bible for like 3 years. I literally wore the pages out of that thing. They were falling out. And I ended up going as a teenager. I was 16, won the whole show.
Wow.
Which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that from there, basically, I was hooked. I was hooked from there. I played everything growing up. I raced motocross, football, I played everything. In bodybuilding, it was easy for me. I loved it. I would spend like 4 or 5 hours in the gym every day, and it just came really easy. And people kind of go towards what they're what they're good at.
Yeah.
So I basically just kept going from there. I won a bunch of other teen shows, and then when I was 18, I did my first real men's open. Won my division, and then took second overall.
Wow.
So I knew I was onto something, but also I knew at that age, I was just getting ready to graduate high school, that I needed to make money. I needed a career.
Yeah.
So I decided to move out to San Diego, California from Michigan, and got a career. I was a deputy sheriff for a few years. Got hurt. I had a really bad head injury back in 2011. And after sitting at a desk for a while, the doctors were like, "You're done. Your career as a deputy sheriff is over with. Your brain injury, if you get another hit in the head or something bad, then don't really know what's going to happen to you."
Yeah.
So at that point, they medical retired me, and I sat at home for a while, super depressed. I was in constant pain, migraines. It was probably the lowest point of my life, and something kept telling me to pursue bodybuilding again, and so that's what I did. I hired Chris Cormier in I think 2014, 2013, somewhere in there. I hired him, and basically never looked back. I went full in at that point. I used to drive up to Venice. I would see you up here all the time, Dave, and make the 3-hour trek or whatever it was, and come up here pretty much every week and train with Chris, pose. We'd be in the posing room for like 3 or 4 hours, just in there dying, and I just fell in love with it all over again. I feel like I was 16, and I still feel like that now. Like going to the gym, I'm still like, super excited to be there. I love what I'm doing. I'm so glad that I have such an amazing team around me, and I have so much support, so many people that believe in me, and I'm just really happy, and I'm just in an awesome place right now.
Well, it shows whenever we talk to you, and you help a lot of people as well. You came here actually today. Today's the Excalibur, so you came here to actually help some people from San Diego that are in the show, and we can tell, when we talk to you, that you're passionate about this. But this year, you actually discovered a new, I wouldn't say passion, but a new avenue where you're actually quite good at. Talk to me about that. That's kind of exciting.
Well, thanks to you, Dave. I got a text message from this guy. It's been a couple months now. A random text message. "Hey, Jimmy, call me. I'm going to change your life." I'm like, okay, like what's going on? So I call him. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and I had him on speakerphone.
And I never call you. We'll text usually. So I never
calls.
asked to talk to him. So he must have been, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, so I knew it was something interesting, and I had him on speakerphone. And so I'm talking to him. He's telling me about this movie. I'm like, okay, like I heard about the movie, but what, do you want me to train somebody for the movie or something like that? And then he tells me, well, they actually contacted me, and they're looking for somebody to play Bill Pearl. I'm like, okay. So, keep going. Tell me more. And he's like, well, I sent them photos, and they like you. They want you to be Bill Pearl. And I remember that I couldn't say anything for the first few minutes. I
would have loved to see your face at that moment.
I believe my wife was in the background listening. I think she started crying, actually. I think there were some tears there. And of course, I'm honored to play somebody like Bill Pearl. He's one of the best, in my opinion, ever of all time. He was one of the original guys. And it was an amazing experience. Everything, I've never been treated so nice in my life. From the minute I stepped off the plane in Alabama, everybody knew that I was there for the movie just because I'm a bodybuilder, so they just kind of assumed. And just everybody treated me so amazing, and the whole production was so professional and so Hollywood. It was awesome, so cool.
You made a couple of videos, and we actually hooked up over there. As you were done and I was arriving, Jimmy was nice enough to treat me to dinner, and so we talked about the whole experience and stuff. And I'm so glad you got to go. And then, but when you came back, you were wondering, this is something that maybe you could potentially do. I know you love bodybuilding, you'll do bodybuilding for a while, but this is something you could possibly see yourself do maybe down the road.
Yeah, it's something, I don't know, I think I'm a dreamer, so when I was a kid I always thought, well, who knows, maybe. But now after going through, the whole production and seeing how everything worked, I thought to myself, like, man, this is really cool. It was kind of like a dream come true that I didn't necessarily know I had that dream until I was there, standing there, watching everything happen. And I'm like, this is it. Like this, other than bodybuilding, like I could see myself doing this. And so I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens in the future. Bodybuilding is still my #1 priority, but I could definitely see acting, especially when bodybuilding is over, maybe shifting to making that my priority.
Like The Rock, like Arnold, like a lot of people.
Who knows? I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead.
You got to dream, man, because if you don't dream, nothing happens.
Exactly, and I'll tell people all the time, man. Like I see young kids in the gym, and like, oh man, do you think I could compete one day? Like, absolutely. Don't let yourself, especially, don't let anybody else tell you can't do something. Because, dude, I'm seriously, like, I come from very humble beginnings. I live out in the middle of nowhere in Michigan with nothing, and now I'm living in San Diego in California. I'm one of the, I don't like talking good at, boasting about myself, but I'm one of the top national bodybuilders in the country, and I just did my first movie, so I don't know. Anything can happen.
Sky's the limit, man. You have a lot of people I'm sure you're grateful for. You're still with your sponsor,
Warrior Labs.
Warrior Labs, of course.
Yep,
yeah.
Warrior Labs.
Some people.
Yeah, Warrior Labs out of Hawaii. Those guys, I've been with them now for a little over 2 years. They are an amazing family-owned company. Just a bunch of amazing local guys. They treat me great. They hook me up with everything that I need. The supplements are top-notch. Just it's good to be part of a tight-knit family, and that's how I look at them. The owners fly out to see my shows, and wow. Those guys, yeah. Then they're young guys too. They're entrepreneurs, but they're young guys living a dream as well. Nice. So I think our passion we kind of bounce our passion off of each other a little bit, yeah. And it's a great company. I'm really lucky and blessed to be with them.
You get some good company also, man, between, Chris Cormier and John Wards and Matt Jensen. You have a very good team around you. And in bodybuilding, it's so important to be surrounded by a good team of people because you're only going to be as good as your surrounding.
Absolutely. Yeah, between, my coaches and my friends, like John Ward, that dude's helped me out so much over the years. He was the one that pointed me towards Chris. And he was the guy that pointed me towards working with Matt. So he is definitely he's definitely played a part in my career of bodybuilding so far. Yeah. And he's a great friend. He's always there for me when I need him. And my wife, she's my #1 supporter, without a doubt. My family, my friends. Whenever I kind of go into hibernation mode like most bodybuilders do going into a show. And my family, my friends, they all know, and they don't sweat me about anything. I don't go to family events during that time. I don't really do anything but eat, sleep, and train. And everybody understands. My wife understands when I'm grumpy and don't want to talk and just want to sleep and eat. And it makes everything so much easier. That's for sure.
Well, Jimmy, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy today to come down and do this Muscle Beach TV interview. I can't wait to see you back on stage at USA. I'm sure you and Matt are going to come up with something great for us to look at, and I really hope you get that pro card because I think you'll make an amazing pro, man.
Thank you. Well, and we gotta tell the story of when we first met. Okay. So I drove up here. With some buddies, and we went into your old Max Muscle store, and I knew who you were from watching all of Jay Cutler's videos. Jay Cutler's one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time, so I knew who you were. And I walked in there, and I'm like looking around, and I was waiting for you to come out of the back so I could see you or whatever. And I bought a couple of tank tops, and I remember when we were checking out, I remember telling you, I introduced who I was, and I knew who he was. And I remember saying, one day you're going to interview me. One day I'm going to be good enough to where you're going to want to interview me.
And you were right.
And I was right. Yeah, I was prophesizing a little bit, I was putting it out there in the universe to make it happen. And here we are today. And another cool thing, that same day, so we were working out here, and Kai Green was here, which was, I've never seen anybody that looked like him before. And he was doing legs. He was doing a photo shoot for another magazine. And the producer, one of the guys working with him, he needed knee wraps because he was about ready to do squats. And nobody else in the gym would loan him their knee wraps.
You got to be joking.
Nobody would loan them to him.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, please take my knee wraps. And Kai was so thankful. He came over and talked to me for for like an hour afterwards.
I'm sure.
He was so thankful for it. And they actually, in the article, they actually talked about it. They talked about me. They talked about loaning the knee wraps to him and stuff. And yeah, it was a pretty awesome day.
That's
I think.
A good story.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming in today. Keep an eye out for this guy, man. He's not, you know what? I'm sure people know your name by now, so it's not like you're, unknown anymore. But I'm sure after, your 6th place last year at the USA, you're only gonna get closer to the top, and I'm really hoping you get pro card this year because, like I said, I think you're gonna make an amazing pro. Are you gonna compete as a 212 once you become pro? What do you want to do? Do you know already, or have you decided? Or
I guess it'll depend on what I weigh this year at USA.
Oh yeah, forget it. If you're 225 shredded, then forget it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 5'7", so I'm definitely not a tall guy.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a little tall for the 212 class.
Yeah.
So most of those guys are around 5'5".
Yeah.
So I mean, Matt says that he thinks I can, be an open competitor. I don't know if I truly believe that yet. We'll see. I've never stood next to somebody that's 240, 250 shredded on stage, so I don't know what I'll, look like compared to them. But I really, I'm a huge fan of bodybuilding, obviously, and just assessing my physique. As long as I can keep my waist tight and keep my lines where they are and add mass slowly, then I think I can stand next to somebody that's 250, 260 on stage, as long as I don't lose the qualities about my physique.
Yeah. Jimmy, where can people follow you on social media?
You can check me out on Instagram at Big J Madsen, on Facebook at Jimmy Madsen Jr, and my email is bigjmadsen@gmail.com. You guys, if anybody's in the Southern California area, I do personal training, show prep, and I also do online training as well. Yeah, and you can, I answer, direct messages and stuff all the time from guys. I love hearing from you guys. I was just like most of you, and I still am. I'm just a guy that's working really hard to try to reach something. I come from really humble beginnings, and I want to be remembered one day and be respected. And I'm just a normal dude like you guys. Please reach out to me anytime.
All right. This is Dave Max with Jimmy Madsen Jr. and this is Muscle Beach TV, and we're out, you guys.